Turning Point USA, and go for it, Rob.
Not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of Intel Services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interests. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves
Rob,
to believe that you can't say that.
This is this clip right here is where they talk about Bondi and Bongino and the fallout.
Okay, play down with you.
Do you think Dan is upset because his integrity is being questioned now over her mistakes?
Oh my gosh. So you're Dan, and you're a media figure, and you've got one of the biggest podcasts in the country, and you're making tons of money, and you're having a great time, which he was. You just built this brand new studio in Florida. You work with your wife, who you really like what she does, and you get the call saying you'd be deputy FBI director, and you're like, I love Donald Trump. I love this country. I will, cut my pay by into a tenth of what it was, and I will leave my house and move to D.C., which is a kind of prison sentence itself, and I will do this because I love the president, I love the country, and you're there a few months, and all of a sudden, everybody thinks you're covering up Epstein's crimes, and it kind of wrecks Dan's career. Like, he can't go back. It's going to be very hard at this point. I mean, things may change, but as of today, pretty hard for Dan to go back to his podcast audience and be like, I'm telling you the truth, when they all think he's covering up for Epstein. Who did that? Pam Bondi did that. And I don't know that she did it on purpose. I'm assuming not. I don't think she's a mean person. I've never gotten that sense. But for whatever reason, she went out there and said things that were not true, that she could not back up. And then they issued this memo thinking that it would clear everything up.
That was embarrassing.
And I guess they're just so dumb, they didn't realize that if you tell everybody you have the tapes of these crimes and then you issue a memo saying you're not going to prosecute anybody for the crimes, what are you saying?
That's a very,
I'm covering up for the...
Adam, that's the most basic question everybody is upset about. That's the most basic thing everybody is upset about.
That Pam announced something and then retracted her statement?
That somebody on Trump's team made an announcement that they're going to do that, and then they're changing the time. You look like you want to say something.
Yeah, well, Pam did